They'll be calling you a radical. First, we'll start talking about the debris field hitting Southern California. It's begun to hit. It's all over Catalina Island right now. Before we talk about that, I want to talk about when I was in the hospital, my little granddaughter, who's about that big, comes in. That beautiful little angel. And I was really, really sick. And she come in and she hold out your hand, Grandpa. And she says, here. She handed me this. Anyway, I clung to that thing. When I was going in and out of a coma, and I kept it in my hand the whole time I was in that hospital. I mean, I've had it the whole time. I mean, I find myself subconsciously, every time I'm nervous, I have it. So I asked her the other day, hey, little girl, Ella, where did you get that? Remember that rock you gave me? And she says, yeah, because I always pull it out. She's like, she says, I got it at Hanson Planetarium, which, come to find out, it's a piece of space rock. So that little girl knows about the healing already. I mean, it's pretty amazing that it played out that way. But anyway, the debris field is hitting California. We, as a group, a bunch of us worked together developing this map of what we thought, long before Noah ever developed any map, long before anybody, we developed our own, our group. Troy Livingston has been so key in this, and so many of the great Facebookers out there. There's been a lot of great Facebookers, nuclear genocide, so many in the early days, 3/11, so many different people. We estimated in our work that the debris field would hit in January of 2014. It's hitting in a big way. My small army, I've developed relationships everywhere, in every nook and cranny of this planet. I have a group in Huntington Beach, and they're like Kevin, that you know, I reported the other night, he said in the middle of the night they're going up with the, you know, the dark black military helicopters. He says they're all over out on Huntington Beach today, up and down the beach in the middle of the day. And my friends were out on Catalina Island, and he says coolers, everything, and he says they're coming in with spotlights at night and they're trying to pick up debris, and they're watching who's down there and what's down there. This is going to explode into contemporary culture. As a guy sent me an email, Kevin, we're sitting having this argument back and forth about the radiation. While we're arguing about the radiation, the effects of the radio, what about Fukushima burning down into the center? And he's right. He's right. You know, we're having this, you know, argument, which we should be, about radiation, where we're actually finally having the debate. But let's get real. Fukushima's still ongoing. I mean, it's a scary situation. As I got a call just now. The radio show I'm going to do tomorrow. And this guy's saying, take iodine tablets. And I'm like, now, all these so-called experts are telling you to take these potassium iodine. I says, that would have been great if they would have told you then on March 12th, March 13th, March 14th, March 15th of 2011. They're only 1,040 fucking days late. I'm here to tell you, take an iodine tablet or something is the worst thing you could do at this point. And I'll tell you why. Because it will flood the thyroid. It will flood the thyroid rate, you know, and it'll become a placebo effect that will actually trick the thyroid. This is a death by 1,000 cuts. This is a cumulative nature. The accumulative nature of nuclear fallout into the body. It's bioaccumulating. As you slowly accumulate it, it lays along the bone. It lines itself along the bone marrow. Now I'm talking about the plutonium. It lines itself, the cesium-137, the cesium-134, the samarium-90 can trick. I mean, we see Chernobyl heart, as it's called. My friend, his daughter's little angel, that little post-Fukushima baby, had a heart attack, and the baby's, you know, all but paralyzed. We've seen a lot of it, the birth effects, but the leukemia, it will lay out. That's why it affects women harder than men, because of density and bone. But women outlive men. That's where the logo "Fight Like a Girl" comes from, the leukemia, fight like a girl. It affects these girls so much harder because of bone density than men, yet girls outsurvive men in animal leukemia. That's fact, because men in the situation like I'm in, the chemo beats it down and, you know, and then fights back, but the number one killer of a person once they've gone through the cycles around, which I really fight with our hospital. I think it's absurd the way they do it. Treat you, and then just no support network. The number one cause of death with men after they've been beaten down is, you know, they commit suicide. Girls don't commit suicide. So, I got a new radio show. It's starting today at, let's see, 9 o'clock Mountain. So that's 11 o'clock Eastern, early birds, 8 p.m., that beautiful mighty blue Pacific. You know, I'm going to go back to my blue. You know how I was. Told everybody I was going to dye my hair blue if I ever made it out of that hospital in respect of the mighty blue. This is what nobody was talking about. Nobody was talking about the death of the Pacific when I was. Nobody. I named it the Pacific Genocide. I was talking about, you know, my nuke gate as I would go off. You know, in the early days it was the blue headband. It was Huntington Beach, my spirituality with the mighty blue Pacific and how spiritual it was. And nobody was talking about it. Genocide of the Pacific is grotesque. As you know, I went off about the Eagles right here. You know, as it's not West Nile. That was confirmed to me today. We as a people, as the plume hits Southern California, is going to shine a big spotlight on Fukushima. The plume, the water washes in, it grabs all the debris and washes it out. So, is all the debris radiated? No more than the rest of the Pacific is. I mean, you think about it, went in, plumed out. It's pockets that you have to be aware of. The background radiation level is going to be the same there as it is on the beaches, as it is in Louisiana, as it is in Detroit, as it is in Boston, Massachusetts, as it is in probably London by now. Queen's getting a little of her own uranium. It's biocleaning, and it builds up and builds up. Most leukemia, we know this from the Atomic Veterans, which I was head of the Atomic Veterans. Most of those men died about 30 years after. I mean, there's a curve. You know, I'm going to start working on my, you know, I don't know what to call it, the mushroom curve, the bell curve. It's sad. A lot of those guys died in their 50s. A lot of them in their early 60s. A lot of them in their 40s. You know, but their children were born to all kinds of different things. And this woman came to me today, and it finally hit me. She says, you know, they burned my father's tonsils out in Balboa Hospital in San Diego. My dad left all kinds of literature on his death. And I remember my grandma telling me, and I have it, here's what they did. This is how evil. After they human guinea pigged the 40,000 Marines there, they cut their tonsils out. They didn't burn them out. They cut them out as experimental human guinea pigs, and they studied their tonsils after they were out of there. They fed them LSD. My father said he had his hands over his things like that, and he could see the flash through his bones. This is on his deathbed, he's telling me all this stuff. And they fed him LSD. Of course, they fed him iodine tablets. Of course, that was in an acute situation. He was blown up at the blast. I mean, the blast shook those guys so hard at the ground zero, and they were Special Forces Marines. They did this over and over and over and over. I believe it happened to my father in 1952 or 3. They took them back to hospitals in San Diego, and they cut their tonsils out. And they they cut their tonsils out because the tonsil will show the amount of radiation, how much they gathered, because this was a human. They knew this was going to kill them, by the way. This was not, we did not know. Oh, they did know. And I have the data that prove that they did know. But they were willing to sacrifice their men, and they used their finest men. They went in and recruited not only their finest physically, but mentally, because they wanted the most Semper Fi. You know, they wanted people that weren't going to talk. And my father was Semper Fi to his death. When he was on his deathbed, they gave us a bottle of morphine, you know, and he was a tough, this guy was incredible. I remember I put a drop on his tongue, and you know, this is when he was going in and out of the coma, I couldn't talk, and he whispered to my brother. My brother got out and he says, you tell Kevin he puts any more of that on my tongue, if I come out of this, I'm going to knock him out. You know, so, what a constitution this man had. Semper Fi. So, to think that arrogance and man and the control freaks are out of control, there was the Eugene McCarthy thesis did that. I broke it all the way down. I can bring it out in incredible detail. We're going to talk about a lot of these issues on my radio show. We're going to break about a lot of dogma. We're going to, I'll have everybody. There's no sacred cows with me. None. You know, I'll break your dogma all to pieces. You know, we're going to talk about the truth. We're going to talk about spirituality. I'm going to dedicate the entire show, the whole year, and, you know, forever to the likes of Pat Tillman, Michael Hastings, and first and foremost, as we're coming up on the anniversary of the horrible, horrible, tragic death of Aaron Swartz. And am I proud to be American? Not now. Not right now. I'm really, I'm ashamed to even call myself America, as our populace of our people, what we've evolved into and who we are. It's really disgusting. Megan Rice. Can you imagine our fathers or our grandfathers' generation putting an 83-year-old nun in prison for anything, let alone peaceful activism? So the debris field's hitting California now. Out on Catalina Island, there's all stuff. Maybe they can gather up another garfish out there and lie to us. You know, they gathered up the sea lions and pulled it off. They gathered up the garfish and pulled it off. They gathered up all the, you know, you go have a fish burger, you know, and these are autoimmune deficiency diseases, and obviously it's affected your brains and your minds as an aggregate of a people. How come people aren't screaming their head off? Where's the data on the sea lions? Remember when they gathered them up? Remember? One other thing before I forget. Jan, Miss Milky the Crown, who's I talked to, she's had a very tough freaking go this year. I don't know if a lot of you people know, but she lost her son, her young son. It's horrible, it's tragic. You know, we need to all, you know, say our prayers for her, tell her how much we love her and how much incredible work. I talked to her, she's an emotional wreck. She told me she wants her viewers, as she's probably going to step out and retire, to go to Missing Sky 1 or Missing Sky 2. That's who she wants her viewers to go to. And I said I would do that for her. And I had a talk with her, and I'm like, Jan, you've done plenty. You've done enough. You've done more than your share, and your work will live in infamy. Nobody can take that away from her now. Nobody. And I mean nobody. Gilded and Gold Casket. Her work will stand in history forever. So she asked me to tell her viewers if she does step aside. Let's hope she does. And I hope, you know, she's emotional right now and she's having a tough go, you know. So we need to support her emotionally. She's supported all of us. So anyway, the debris field's hitting down there. We need to stay focused on this, and remember this, we need to really concentrate on Fukushima, Japan. It is ongoing, and the corium is burning deeper and deeper every day. And we're playing, not Russian roulette, we're playing American roulette, and every slot on this wheel is double zeros. They're experimenting with the entire world on what's going to happen over there with those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 burnings in the earth. Our radio show, as it goes on, Jill's got some software one of her people has developed. Jill Stan is who's working with me on this to immediately put this up to a YouTube channel. So hopefully it'll go right to my YouTube channel, and there'll be a video every Tuesdays and Thursdays for 1 hour. Stay tuned.